There we go.
Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 49-year-old from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. His hockey journey has taken him to Canada, the USA, Northern Ireland, and Wales. He has built dynasties in Northern Ireland, Belfast, for example, and then Cardiff, Wales. He even is crazy enough to have an asshole like me back for a Wally night, and I'll never forget it. And he has now recruited a whole squad of shed guys to kick the shit out of everybody. Welcome to my cottage, Todd Kelman.
Is that where you are? Are you at the cottage?
I am, and I have no notes. I only wrote your name down. I got nothing. I just winged that.
That
It's
was
episode
pretty good. That's
400,
all.
right? You got to get creative now.
Congratulations, by the way. Well, one, I didn't think I'd ever be back on here. I didn't think I'd be welcome. I thought we covered everything.
Oh,
And
stop it. We're
and
just getting started.
and 400 episodes. That should have taken you 8 years. One a
Mm,
week. That should have taken you 8 years. How many years has that been then? 2 years?
I don't, I think I started January of 21, maybe-ish, when I talked to pigs the first time. And as soon as I talked to my friends, I couldn't stop talking to my friends again. I just keep doing it.
You're pumping out like, how many are you pumping out a week? Two or three a week?
I haven't even done one since last Monday. I went back to Western Michigan University for the first time in 18 years.
No way.
Yeah.
How was that?
The best time ever. And if any Broncos listen to me at my cottage or my shed, everybody needs to go back. All the hurt feelings reports need to get squashed. We're in our 40s now. People grow up and get over it and be proud you're a Bronco, because we all should be. There's like 8 to 10 years of Broncos that won't go back. It's like a black
Why?
hole.
Why?
Hurt feelings reports.
God. You know what? They're a good team. They're like a wagon now, aren't they? They're like a
They
top
sh
team.
they sure are. And I met the new coach, and he's like, "Oh, you played then?" He's like, "We don't get any of you guys back." I'm like, "I know. I tried to get my guys back and they won't come." And he's like, "We're gonna get you guys
What's
back one at a time." And I'm like, "I'm in. We're doing this."
what who's the coach now? Who's the new
Pat
coach?
Pat Ferschweiler. He was
Pat Ferschweiler. Where did
he played there, and then he got in with that
yeah.
guy that became the new coach after the guy that had us, and then they won, and then they all went to the Red Wings for a bit, and now he was his assistant with the Red Wings after that, and then came back to now be the head coach. Yeah.
Oh wow. That's great.
And they're pumping out pros like crazy now. Like they're all ready for pro when they get there and know what to do, and I'm very proud of where the program is now.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. And you're a Bowling Green State guy, eh?
We were rivals with Western Michigan.
Sure were. Yeah. I remember Bieksa
He
being
used to,
there when we play against them. He was
yeah,
mean.
yeah. Oh
He was
man.
mean.
Yeah. What that was years after me, but what a stud he was. What a player.
I know.
Um, he was great for them for sure. But yeah, I keep an eye on them still. Obviously, it's your alma mater and stuff. But yeah, it's a different world now in college hockey. Way
Not,
different now.
I couldn't believe it.
Not
So
better.
my,
Not
the
better.
the guy that recruited me came, and this is a crazy story because I love this stuff. A player, the guy that played in all the spots I did the year after I left, Mark Letestu, played 1 year and then went to the show. They were retiring his
Yeah.
jersey or whatever they do, put him in the Ring of Honor. And my old coach, Chris Brooks from Stratford, Ontario, drove 11 hours to Kalamazoo to hear his speech and then drove 11 hours away.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
That's
And
awesome.
the kid, well, he's not a kid, he's like my age, but he shouted out him, and I was standing there right beside him when the guy was saying all this nice stuff about Chris Brooks, who was the guy that recruited me to Western Michigan and got me
Yeah,
out of Elmira, Ontario. It's pretty neat.
yeah, that's good.
So how have you been? A lot of things have changed since we talked last, eh?
Yeah, I've been running through coaching.
You thought I was gonna run out of guys. Think about how much we got to talk about.
Hold on, I'm just gonna close this door because it's kind of loud here.
Are we getting
Um,
serious now? Yeah. Um, okay, I'll
um,
uh I'll I'll keep talking while you do
where,
that.
when did we last talk? Was it
Uh
um
Well, we did
Probably 20.
episode 43, but did we do another one after that?
No, maybe, I don't know. I can't remember.
I
Um,
can't either.
so I don't know where we left off, but what do you want to know about? You want to know about
Um,
the new
about what?
so tell me about your fan base, your listenership or your listener base. Is it still a lot of Devils fans?
Um, Actually, that's what's confusing to me. When you can hit demographics and it says where people listen, it like in the
Yeah.
UK now, it's more in England than Wales, and that's upsetting to me. I don't like
Well,
that.
it's probably you've done some stuff. No, but you've done some stuff with Manchester and Sheffield, like you've done a lot of those guys. And
Yeah,
you got to think the fan base, especially in Sheffield, right? Like
it's
they're a
weird.
machine. I mean, they're a massive fan base, and so you do anything, you get a couple of their players on, you get Simsy on there, mouth of the South, and
Mm.
uh and
He
um
is my most listened to episode.
and
Both of his are.
you're it's well, he's listening to it once a week himself, so
Mhm.
that's pumping the
Probably in his hot tub, yeah. But yeah, no,
numbers up, you know.
The Sheffield
But
fan
yeah,
base is wild.
but he's great. Like,
Bad
oh no,
internet at the
honestly,
cottage,
I would
eh? This is
say
a mess. Bad
is it
internet at
bad?
the
Is it
cottage.
bad?
I'm lagging over here. I'm sorry,
Oh,
but that's okay.
that's
Uh,
okay. Do you want to leave it until you're do
no, I
you want to
sure
leave it
don't.
until you're done?
No, there's people
Okay.
waiting for me to do episodes, and I feel bad when I don't, and I'd have no time to talk, but I want to. But yeah, when I have Sheffield guys on, it is wild how many people listen, and then you realize how many fans they have there, and yeah, wild. But I just wanted to make sure nobody was upset with me for sponsoring Captain Critch last year, because I am a devil. I always will be, you know? Were you upset? Are you
I'll tell you
upset?
what. I'll tell you what. There's a little delay between you asking me and me speaking, but I'll answer the question. So I did one game. I GB Pete and like half our team, or about six guys, had to play for GB for the Olympic qualifiers in Cardiff last year. And so Franny took over the bench duties, and I went with Franny to kind of help, right? I did my part. I ran the D, Franny ran the forwards. Um, and in the game, they announced the sponsorships, and that's the first time I heard that Critchlow was sponsored by you guys, by you, and we were on the bench, and I was like, "Franny, are you fucking kidding me?" And like I would have never known. I would have never known if it wasn't for me. That's the only road game I like. That's the only. I went to other road game. Excuse me. I went to other road games, but I was on the bench for that one, so I was engaged and I actually heard it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was just having fun. And actually they really had my back. I don't how it all started with the chocolate and Critch coming on. And
yeah.
then they got right behind me and they had like their photographer writing to me saying, "Let me know if you want any more pictures from the season. That was so much fun. Thank you." And I was all of a sudden like all confused and I was like, "Well, you guys really have my back." And then Critches seems to be like a real gamer, like my type of guy. Seems to be your type of guy, but anyways, he's a Manchester guy. But when they were throwing chocolate on the ice and Jake was being my director of shed marketing, the 13-year-old over there in Manchester, I was just having fun. And then I wrote to Finner and I said, "Well, I've never heard of a podcast sponsoring a player, but I would sponsor Critch if we can make a deal." And then we did. And I still haven't paid him all the money because I don't make any money talking in my shed. So hopefully your sponsors actually pay their bills by the next season.
Yeah, luckily they do.
Yeah, sorry, Fenner. I'll pay you next time you come to the shed, right? You haven't came back. So I told him, I'm like, you got to get in the corners and muck it up with me, or I'm not paying you. But
Wow.
it is neat that they throw chocolate. So Todd, I really
Yeah,
like winning. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do. And you brought Matt Carruth back. Did
yeah.
you hear after he left the Cardiff Devils and went to the Herning Blue Foxes that they threw 1,004 Twixes on the ice? And then they made a big YouTube video. They shouted it all out for me and all that. And there was 1,004 Twixes on the ice, and they say they have the record. I want to beat them again. Um, Beat them in game 7 with Sunderewski to win the gold helmet. And I think your home opener, we should at least have 1,005 Twixes on the ice so I can feel like a winner again. You know what I mean. Okay.
No, we should definitely. I have no issue with that. The rink management. Luckily, I know the rink manager, so we can
Can,
talk to them too.
can
And
you talk to them and
and
say, Wally and Mac and the Devils need to win again and beat the Herring Blue Foxes, and we need 1,005 Twixes on the ice, so get the F out of our way.
we run the rink too, Wally. So
Oh,
I'll
jeepers.
talk
So
to
I'm
my.
talking to the right guy?
So we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine cleaning up the Twixes. That's absolutely fine. You know what? I don't know if Mac will play. Like you gotta. He's battling. Him and Boundsy will be sharing duties and battling it out for the net
Right.
every night. So
I understand that, but
you never know.
I'm a hockey coach and I know what things mean to players. And he's signed back with Cardiff. Bounsy's been playing there, and I agree they're going to be battling all year. But you got to give the guy the first game at home after he's been gone and comes back. I mean, Bouncy can play the first road game, and then he can play the first home game, just so we can all have fun, right?
It's not all about the Twixes. We'll see. I don't have any decision-making ability on the goaltending situation. You know that.
I do know that, but if he's listening to me at my cottage, Max should get the home opener. If I was coaching, that's what would happen, because that sort of stuff means things to players. But
I'm willing to bet Pete Russell is not listening to your podcast.
he won't even come and
I'd
talk
be
to me either. I mean, he kind of said he would when I met him in person and we took a selfie. And then once I got home, things changed. Now he won't. He says he doesn't
yeah.
do podcasts. You guys just do
No, he doesn't.
documentaries now.
Yeah. Well, the documentary was good. It was a good thing to do.
It really
We
was.
should have done it. We should have done it when you were here. We might, a few of you might be in jail still if we did it.
I don't know if the pregame speeches would be on the documentary if they did it now or then.
You know,
Oh, that was something. But you guys have recruited a lot of my people. Hey, you have the same taste in men as I do, it seems, with this new Cardiff Devils team next season.
yeah, no, it's I mean there's a lot of changes, probably like one of the bigger turnovers, maybe the biggest turnover since COVID. Like obviously after COVID we lost a bunch of guys, but yeah, I mean there's a lot of guys we wanted back, but like you know how it is. Everyone wants either more money or a better situation, or maybe they were sharing an apartment and they need their own place now, and it all has to fit in like a jigsaw puzzle. And then we obviously wanted to make a couple changes, and we had a couple guys retire, and one guy wanted to move on, and another guy wanted to move back to the States, which happens now more than ever. Like I think the days of playing for the same team in this league for like 4 or 5 years are dwindling. Like I think less and
Why
less
is
of that
that?
happens.
You still have like 8
Agents.
guys I played with 10 years ago. It's crazy how loyal you guys are and how many players I still played with that are still there, and it warms my heart.
Yeah. Who did you still play with that's still here? So you got Bouncy, Batch, Richie,
Mark,
Marty.
yeah.
I might
Is that
well
it?
that's
Thought they're
probably it.
really? Yeah, I guess I
Oh,
like
yeah,
know.
well,
I
that's
guess
how
I
you
guess I
gotta
know.
say
I
you know them all.
I know more of them because I got like naked in front of them and then talked to them in my shed, and like Sam Duggan, and then I get to go back for
Yeah.
testimonials and then like get to know them over a weekend, and it's like really fun. Those testimonials are the
That
funnest
really
thing in
breaks that really
life.
breaks down some barriers. I know. We got more. We got a few more, I'm sure. You'll
Well,
be back for that.
I hope so. It's really warms your heart when you're living a normal life and then your buddies bring you back.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't have any notes. So, you got a new coach since last time we talked, and I met him, even mucked it up with him on Chippy Lane. And I really liked your choice when I met him that day and I saw what he did for Batch at his testimonial. He worked all day, all night, helping any way he could, doing his part, like you would put it. And he had a smile on his face, welcoming everybody, and then he stayed out all night with us, just like he was a young donkey, like us 40-year-olds, and hit Chippy Lane with me and Franny that night. And I thought, this is the type of coach that you want, is a guy that is in it for the right reasons, and he's here to support his new teammates. And seeing what he did for Batchy that day was awesome, you know?
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. He's a really good coach, and he manages to get the best out of players. I mean, this will be his second year with us, and we assume that'll extend even longer, like hopefully for, a while longer, a few more years. But yeah, I mean, he's good. It's different for me, like having a Scottish voice in the locker room. Like I think we're all used to it now. But every one of his pregame speeches sounds like a Braveheart speech. It's pretty intimidating.
It's not as
But yeah, no,
intimidating as my
he's
pregame speeches. I don't care what accent you
oh
have.
no, God no, yeah. That's just more stalking than anything. But yeah, he's good, and the guys really like him, and I get along with him really well and have a good relationship with him, away from the rink too. So that's always important in like, I mean, we're a small team still. Everyone in this league runs for a small team. So you got to be buddies with the people you work with.
Well, I think that's the case anywhere in life. I work in the real world
Yeah,
now, and my team, I need to be friends with them and get along with them to enjoy the day, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Well, did you know, Todd? I know we haven't talked in a while. Did you know you're my hockey mentor? Did you know
I
that?
am.
Yeah. Well, you're like my life
No, I didn't.
coach. You're like my life coach. You told me to
Well,
be more
I
Wally
should probably talk.
after I came there, and you sent me that
I did.
email and it said be more Wally, and I was like, man, I haven't been Wally in a long time. And I'm like, huh, I should be. And then I think of this, and then all the fun I'm having is I don't know. It was a lot from you, but then it was watching you run a hockey team that year that I take into all my coaching now, and how I coach kids now is I remember when you were filling up ketchup bottles because they weren't full enough or red enough, and then how you had my apartment ready when I got there and had a Walton 18 jersey for Colby on the crib, and the fridge was stocked, and I was like, where am I playing? These people like actually understand what hockey players want, you know?
You can, yeah. Well, I mean, it came from me being a player, never having anything ready or any sort of organization when I got to a team.
Yeah.
Honestly, like some of the worst experiences, like we used to dread getting off the plane when we landed to play in and these are places I really enjoyed playing, but like nothing was ever ready. Like when I went to Bracknell, I that was my first pro experience. We used to call it least professional hockey, not professional hockey, because it was a gong show. Worst setup I've ever seen. We stayed there for 3 years because we liked the guys so much, the players so much, the coaches so much. We ended up winning a championship together. But honestly, like we had guys quit within the first couple weeks every year because it was so disorganized. And
And you
I
learn
remember
from
saying
that,
like if
right?
I oh yeah, yeah, and even my first couple years in Belfast, it was better, but it wasn't. I guess we probably take it to a different level. I think every team does the same thing now, like welcome packs and having the apartments ready and stuff. But I think I'd like to think like probably started with me and Steve Thornton when we were in Belfast. We started doing it because we had to like we were competing against teams with way bigger budgets back then, and we wanted to make it better, and we wanted guys to feel comfortable. But like I remember with Steve Thornton, who's now running the Giants, um, he was cleaning, like he was a player coach, and he was cleaning bathtubs with a toothbrush like at 2 in the morning before guys arrived the next morning because he wanted the places to be nicer for the guys when they arrived. And like, I mean, his work ethic, it's still the same kind of guy he is now, but like you learn a lot from that, and you realize little things make such a difference for players, like getting them bagels in the morning or getting them like better coffee or having yogurt and granola for them to eat it at the rink. And yeah, all those things make such a difference. And yeah, like I mean, it's funny, we still talk about the first year you guys were here, that team, like it was the perfect team to come together in such short notice with me and Lordo and Franny taking, building the team so quickly. one of the best groups of guys I've ever had. Everyone kind of understood. We had married guys living with married guys. We had goalies sharing with goalies. Like everyone, I think you might have been the only guy with his own place. I think you
Yeah.
might have been the only guy with his own place. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
Uh,
was sharing, and honestly, it brought back my love of hockey that year. I mean, I had been asked to kindly leave a couple places, even if I had done pretty good and we'd won stuff. And then it can really mess with you mentally. And then when I came to Cardiff, I struggled at the start because I was dealing with that stuff and my knee. But then I remember a day being like, I'm just going to have fun and I'm going to have fun playing hockey and I'm going to hang out with every guy on my team like I think hockey should be. And then I remember the heater we
yeah.
went on that year, man. We didn't lose a game very often after we started winning. We had a tough start, and then all of a sudden, we were such a team, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably the closest team I've ever seen, that I've had. And we probably had no business competing for the league, but I think we lost the league by 2 points to Sheffield and we won the Challenge Cup. And I mean, we still talk about it. I was just recently in Calgary with the owners and it's 10 years, right? 10
You
years of us owning the team.
and you're still doing your summits
And
and having fun running a hockey team. I'm so
yeah,
jealous. I was almost an owner one day.
yep, I heard about that. Um, and yeah, we interviewed the owners. Well, I interviewed the owners and talked about like their favorite memories. And I think every one of them talked about the first Challenge Cup. Uh, two of them or three of them were there. Kelly wasn't there, but they still talk about like what a turning point it was for us just to kind of validate everything, taking over, investing the money, taking over the club, this disenfranchised group of fans that we kind of turned around and they fell back in love with the team that they loved for so many years. It's pretty special. And like to be a decade on like that, it's yeah, it's amazing. Like it went quick. Trust me, it went really quick. And but like it's crazy that it's been 10 years because it feels like it's been about 2 or 3 years, you know?
Well, that means I've been out of the game for a really long time because that was my second last year, and then I got hurt
8
the
years.
next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You've been out for 9 years, yeah. Isn't
so
that
when
crazy?
well, when you're talking about like validation and all that, it's like then I come back from hockey and you're a bit lost for a while trying to figure stuff out. And then you have me back, and then I'm 0 for 3 in minor hockey coaching applications, and all I want to do is get a team and coach and help. And then you get to do it for a year, and then yesterday our new rings came, and we are the All Ontario champions, and it was very
That's amazing.
validating and to do it in my new home with all these kids I get to see. Um, it made me realize I am still a hockey guy and I do know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's
It,
that's so cool. I saw the pictures that you posted pictures online when it happened, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see Colby a little bit more grown up, you know?
oh man, well, he's
It's,
more grown up than I am.
yeah,
But yeah, like when you see them become a team, like us Cardiff Devils did that year, and then you're actually like in charge of it and like watching it happen and helping it happen. And then when they do that for you, and then like I didn't go out there and score a goal, I didn't make a play, I didn't make a pass. Those kids went out there and did it. And then we all get to win together because of what they did. It was the neatest experience ever. Yeah. And I still get to
yeah,
see all those guys. It's like in Cardiff, you win, and then you all get on planes and go home to wherever you're from, and you don't get to see each other anymore unless you start a shed. Now I get to drive into town
yeah,
and I'll drive by 3 All Ontario champions on the way into town, you know? It's
yeah,
weird.
yeah. That's pretty cool. That's so cool.
It is cool. So yeah, last night me and the coaches drove around to everybody's house and delivered their rings, and we're all still a team, and the season's over, but we'll be family for life, and that's what hockey's supposed to be, you know? And
That's right.
I thought you guys taught me that in Cardiff. It was like, so maybe I haven't been wrong this whole time, and maybe having fun playing hockey isn't that bad of a thing. And you can be you. You know what I mean?
You should You know what you need, Wally? You should be on like a tour of professional hockey teams to remind players how much they should love it when they're in it, because I think sometimes players don't realize it's like any job you find, when you're in a job, no matter any job, even the best jobs in the world can become monotonous and become because you only know what you know. And every year in the induction period with the players, like when we have a meeting, I always try to stress them about like, you know, you have the best job in the world and you won't appreciate it fully until you finish playing. And like I'm lucky because, I'm nearly 50 years old. I stopped playing nearly 20 years ago, um, to go into management. And I still say like I still would like I love running a hockey team. I still would rather play hockey. I still would rather be like 25, 30 years old playing with my buddies. Like there is never a better job than that. You could make millions and do all these things away from the rink, but you still for fun would go put on your skates and play with your buddies. Like that's what people do for fun. That's what my buddies that aren't in hockey do for fun. They might have fantastic jobs, and then on the weekends or on the Tuesday or Thursday nights, they go play men's league and they have a few beers with their buddies and strap on the skates and have a good time. Like it's the best job in the world, and I don't care what level you're playing it at. I don't care if you're playing, for the Cardiff Devils or the New Jersey Devils. It's still the best job in the world. And I think, I remember when you came in and when you came in for the Wally night and you gave the speech to the guys about like
Do
we
you
were
remember?
laughing because we were like,
Do you remember when
oh,
hockey was fun?
yeah. Remember when
I got
and
right in Richie's face and I said, "Do you remember when hockey was fun?" And I got the
yeah,
Thor hammer right in his face and I said, "Do you remember when it was fun?" And I'm like, "Let's go out there and have fun." And then we did, and you guys won.
and you know what's funny about that is like you got to remember like it's funnier for the guys that had known you and played with you because they were watching you, but they also had one eye on the guys that had never met you.
And had never seen the show before.
And if you would just imagine it, and like some of the older guys, especially, like I think we had a couple guys that had played in the NHL in that locker room, and
Well, it was the one guy's
and I
first
think,
game on the Devils. It was just came from the NHL. It was his first game, and then that
oh
happens.
yeah, oh man, yeah,
Yeah.
good times. Yeah.
So Franny, that creepo, or no, it wasn't Franny. He was out on the other side of the arena for the red carpet. Somebody filmed that pregame speech, and if I watched the video and you see the smiles and laughs on all the other guys' face that didn't know me, like you could see Steven Dixon just look around and be like, "What is this?" And then he starts laughing. I'm like, "Yeah, hockey is
Yeah,
fun." Still can't believe I did that. Still can't believe I
I
got
know it's
topless
good
in the
stuff.
crowd either, but I mean, Joey Martin scored and I'm a big fan, you know?
Now it's a thing. Like so, we played Katowice, the Polish team this year, and their whole like might be the craziest fan base I've ever seen. Like the closest I can think to it, it's kind of like football fans when like it's like a wall of sound, just like they chant the entire game, but like loud, and because they were so loud, our block 13 were so loud. But this Katowice team, when I think maybe like in the second period, I don't know what time it is, they all take their shirts off, right? And security's going nuts, going, "What are we doing? They can't take their shirts off in here." And I was like, "I'm not going to tell them. You want to go tell 400 large gentlemen with their shirts off to put their shirts back on? Just leave it. They're okay. They're not harming anyone." And then so our guys in Block 13 started doing it, and I think it's fine. I love that
I,
stuff. Like, some people say, like, "Oh, you can't do it. There's kids in the crowd." I'm like, it's fine. Like the guys that are doing it are having a good time. It's
they're
okay to have
enjoying the
fun at
sport.
hockey.
That's what that, yeah, you're paying money to go. And if you're ever gonna let your hair down, why can't you do it at a hockey arena? It's like you're supposed to be
Yeah,
there to have fun. Even if you're a fan, you may as well get involved. And I saw
yeah,
those guys and I had them on, Josh Wilby and my maybe new sponsor of the shed, Dan Coles, and they got spray painted with 44 on the back, Donaghy and
I saw,
Kelman. And then
I
44
saw.
plus 44 equals 88. And they did that because they saw me spray paint myself 5 years earlier. Warmed my heart over here, you know?
I know. I got a picture of that. My God.
Oh,
Yeah, those guys are great. And like,
You need those guys
Yeah,
in the arena. It helps
it's
the
funny.
team.
You need them. Absolutely. And you know what? I wish I had more of it. Like I wish I'm not saying I want the entire crowd with their shirts off, by God. But like what I mean is like there's games where even those fans are quiet. They don't like I think sometimes fans think they're the same intensity every game, but like I mean, I can tell the difference between I know going into a game against Sheffield or Belfast, they're going to be twice as loud as a game against Fife or Dundee. And we probably need them more against Fife or Dundee to create the atmosphere, you know?
Yeah,
But um
yeah. When it's
but
true though,
it's
it's
like
like any game. You can
you know,
go to
it's like
you go to Sheffield and it's the same thing. You're pumped up to play them. You're pumped up to go to Belfast. But then you go to Dundee on a
yeah.
Tuesday or whatever, and you're like, ah, this is a little tougher to get up for.
And you know it's funny because you look at that and you look at like those are our fans that can see in themselves. Maybe they don't see it themselves, but it's visually obvious. And we're sitting there going, why can't they? We're doing what they do about the players. Why can't they be consistently the same level every game? And then there's games in sport where for whatever reason, a team collectively shits the bed all the same night, and they're like, how do we lose to the last place team on this day in a big game or something? And you're like, that's the beauty of sport. If the
Yeah,
best team won all the time, you'd know who's going to win, and they go, like they'd run through it every year. But like, for fans that listen out there, you can't win every game. You can't be consistent every game. And I think I don't know what it is about. I don't know, maybe because like football is like the dominant sport in the UK, that they're used to like, like if you're a fan of, I don't know, if you're a fan of one of the top football teams, you probably only see your team lose like maybe,
a
I
couple
don't know, a couple
times.
times at home. Yeah, and like the same teams dominate all the time, but like I don't know, man. So fan fans and social media is terrible for it. But like I guess you get we all, social media just gave a voice to every single person with an opinion, which when it probably came to fruition, social media sounded like a great thing. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. Um, but uh, but yeah, it's something.
I
And
Yep.
I would say UK hockey fans, like this is a real compliment to UK hockey fans. They're probably the most engaged fan base in hockey in terms of like if you watch I'll give you an example, like Lordo signs in Halifax, right? Halifax is one of the biggest junior programs in the country. It's a storied franchise. It's a huge deal that
Oh
he's the
yeah.
head coach of the Halifax. The first 20 or 30 comments are from UK hockey fans
Yeah.
because they don't miss a beat.
I
And
know.
like when he signed in Greenville, the first 100 comments were from Devils fans, right? And I remember the guy from Greenville going, "This is crazy." I'm like, "Get used to it, man." Like he wins Coach of the Year, first 100 comments are from Devils fans. Like
Uh, when
the
I
UK fan
uh,
base is just
it is the best fan base, I think, in the world. You wonder why so many people listen to me talk in my shed. It's because I played in Cardiff and I played in the UK. And those people are so passionate about the players, about their team. And I felt it when I went to Cardiff. I could tell there were fans that actually like cared about you and like they cheer for you years later, even when you're no longer playing there. And it's like Sheffield fans listen to me now or whoever does, and like they have my back. Like I played for the Sheffield Steelers, and I'm like, that's so cool because I had your team's players on. Now you all think we're all on the same team, and hockey is a big family. And I know how you guys are that run the league. Like you guys are always in constant communication, making sure you guys are making it the best league you can. And then you have those fans. I think it's wild to watch what's happened in the UK since I was there. I mean, the arenas you play in. And then, I took a shine to Manchester because it was like they were playing in the big blue tent still. And I'm like, man, there's not many teams still mucking it up in a barn like that.
yeah, yeah. No,
uh,
it's
it's
crazy.
a
Like it's
hockey family over there. And it's like that playoff weekend when you see all 10 teams fans go to a bar and everybody's wearing different jerseys, but everybody's laughing and having fun. And it's like, this is the game. This is what it's supposed to be, you know?
absolutely, absolutely. No, it's a playoff weekend, something special. Like it's obviously better when you win it, but like it's just a fun thing to be a part of. And Um, yeah, I think the only thing is, uh, um, you know, I think it would have been a lot more fun, same atmosphere. I think you would have liked it a lot more without social media. I think people, I think, like back in the day, there was, fans didn't necessarily have a voice to complain about every single thing. And I think fans sometimes need to just calm down about what they put on social media. Like I'm not saying just for our club, I'm saying for all the clubs. Like some fans are just relentless. Like they're all over teams about everything. They're all over players. They don't realize that players read stuff. Players say they don't read stuff, but they see it. And like, if you're a player and you're seeing your own fan base ripping on you or saying like, "Oh, he played terrible this game. Oh, why would we bring him back?" People don't think. They just don't think. It's like it's one thing if it's the NHL and these guys get paid millions of dollars and they're not actually looking at anything. Like there's probably thousands of comments when a player gets traded or whatever. But like honestly, like when we were growing up, it was just like you bitched about your team to your buddies and you went for beers or you went for coffee and you talked about sports teams that like when they made trades or like I even still do that now when I talk to my buddies. I don't put anything on social media and say like, why did the Calgary Flames do this? I just think it's so
It's
people are so quick to
garbage.
react. It's garbage, but they're so quick to react right away with like a comment.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and I think fans don't realize this is the kind of stuff that like you shouldn't be worried about something about like, oh, we lost that. Jesus, what are the fans going to say on social media? Like that's an actual thought by most teams. Like, Jesus, we got knocked out. Like, not like, God, what does this mean for the franchise? What does this mean for the team? Like, what does it financially mean? It's always like, what are we thinking? What are the fans going to think? And fans will be like, oh, you just don't have to think about it. Or, well, then stop. Why do you have to talk about it? Why did like
I,
I'm
I,
blown away. And I found like I'm on a rant, but I'm blown away by some fans, how relentless they are. And I'm not just talking Devils fans. Every fan base has them. And I always laugh when people talk about like, like every player, oh, if a guy plays in Manchester, Sheffield, or Cardiff, or Nottingham, or Belfast, they always say like this is the best fan base. And I'm always like, none of us are the best fan base. We have great people in our fan base, and we have people that are like awful to us in our fan base. And
and
that's every fan base in the world.
but they call themselves fans, and I see it. It's people that follow me too. I see what they'll post, and it could be mid-game. It's in the middle of the game, and they're writing, "Why did this guy do that?" And you're like, um, they're all out there doing their best. And like, why? If you want them to win, if you want them to beat the other teams, you need hockey players to be happy and you want them to be having fun. And when they're worried about what people are saying about them, you think they want to get up and do it harder for you the next game. It's like actually they feel like shit and they're not going to have the extra effort and give it that extra oomph that you need because you don't have their back and they feel it and they know that. And that's what I loved about Cardiff was that it felt like everybody had our backs. When we started rolling and everything was positive, negativity is exhausting. Like it makes you tired. And when you're positive and everybody's
Yeah,
having fun, you have more energy in anything in life. It's like I do
yeah,
this and then I have energy the rest of the day because I feel better, you know?
yeah. But and also, if you look at the different channels, like you ask why like if you look at players, most players, like most of our guys aren't on Twitter actively anymore. They're on Instagram, and it's because Instagram is nicer. Instagram has less ways to comment and rip the crap out of people. Like Twitter is the most toxic part of social media, but it's also the easiest to get messages out. Like you have some last minute tickets, you got a ticket deal, you got a promotion. Twitter's going to get the most activity, at least with our fans and UK fan base. But it also gives you an opportunity to comment and bitch. The worst thing can happen? Wait till a franchise, any team in our league, tweets something wrong, like tweets a spelling mistake. Like talk to Simsy about that. He tweets a spelling mistake. He'll have 40 people that apparently work for Webster's Dictionary ripping the crap out of him for making a spelling mistake. Like
It's
and it
so
just
true
starts
though.
arguments.
And it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
it's it's
that's what
it's hilarious.
I'm
Yeah,
the same thing though, is my honey holes Instagram. I kind of don't use Twitter at all because I mean, it just wasn't for me. And it's like all the guys that I hook up with is usually through Instagram. And then, it is positive. And
yeah,
like with the community I've built through social media is like I grew up in Elmira, Ontario, where nobody would use social media. None of my buddies would ever go on it. And then you were the one that convinced me to ever get Twitter, which was what got me started. But now with Instagram and all these hockey guys, and like now I have this community of shed guys that all follow along and we stay in contact. And it's like, well, this is what I want to use it for, not seeing that other stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. You know what? The world wasn't necessarily made for every single person's opinion to be heard all the time.
No.
A lot of
Uh,
people don't care. A lot of people don't have enough to say, not have much to say that means anything, and a lot of people don't care.
so do
I'm
you
not
know
on any social media. I got out 3 years ago. I hate social media.
that's because you're not doing it like I am, because it's fun for me. But fun fact is my brother-in-law just came out of the cottage, and people may think I'm crazy that I think it takes everybody to win and everybody needs to play their part. He is episode 188. When we won with the Elmira Kings, he had grown up not being able to play hockey, and he started late, but he wasn't good enough to make our team, but he was friends with all of us. He became the mascot. He dressed up like a lion and went out on the ice and waved the flag and dressed like a lion. And then we had another one of our brothers with us, and it helped us, because we'd hear the stories of what the
Yeah.
lion did out on the ice. And I'm like, that's hockey. So, fun fact is we beat Joey Martin's hometown, Joey Martin's brother, in the finals to win the Sutherland Cup. That's how small of a world it is. And my brother-in-law, dressed up like a lion, fought their mascot in the hallway underneath the arena, and we won.
Against Thor. Against Thor.
Yeah, the Blackhawks. Um, so what else do we have to talk about? We shouldn't talk about how negative social media is. I think these fans are going to get better after they listen to us, right? They're not going to do that stuff anymore, right? They'll be better. They'll play better. They want their team to win. They're not going to say negative
Oh,
stuff, right?
yeah, I'm sure that'll last. Um, yeah, no, someone will tweet about, they'll bitch about me commenting on how much social media people are ridiculous on social media. But I see it. I mean, I see it. We've had like, I mean, it's just it's I don't think any team, we've talked about at board level, every team has had this conversation with me about like they all have a name, like they know the names of the fans that are relentless on social media, right? Let's
Yeah.
say every team has 10, 20 of them. We know the names in our team. And you'll just be like, well, we know what this idiot's gonna say or this idiot's gonna say. And yeah, like they're, they might be season tickets, they might be part-time fans, but they're relentless. And the thing is, the players all know them and they know who they are, and most of them know who they are face to face, and they're nice as pie to your face, and they line up with autographs, but they'll rip the shit out of you still. But yeah, we had a big meeting. We had a meeting about it this summer, and we just said it's done. Like we stopped focusing on the 20 people that bitch and complain about absolutely everything we do. We don't even talk about anymore. We shouldn't even know their names, because the people that matter are the families that come, and the people that come all the time, and they don't post every time we do something little that pisses them off, or we lose a game, or we win but not the way we should have won, or anything that happens. Like there's lots of people that don't post anything, and there's lots of people that post positive stuff. And honestly, we got to focus on the people that love our team and are, I don't care if people, like when we lose, I actually don't care when people bitch. It's when they bitch about just stupid stuff, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
And yeah,
So
yeah. So,
moving on though, someone told me that you did some interview playoff weekend and everybody's saying you said great things about where the league's heading and what you're doing. Aren't you like in charge of that league now? Don't you have like another job outside of
well,
the Devils for like the league?
we kind of all are, like like how would you like the league setup, like there's a representative from every team on the league, right? On the league board. So there's not a separate board or a separate CEO or anything like that. Like essentially there's everyone every one team has either the owner or the managing director or the general manager sits on the board, and and we work really well together. So like there's like for example in Guildford, I think his title is COO, like Chief Operating Officer Kirk. So he's not one of the owners, but he runs he's my role kind of with them, and he sits on the board. And then with Steve Thornton is a representative from Belfast. I'm from Cardiff. Tony Smith is from Sheffield. So We work really well together, and yeah, I mean, we just got a new head of hockey operations, Liam Sewell, which is an ex-referee, and Mike Hicks got poached by the IIHF. That's what happens. You do a good job with a league, and the IIHF comes along and takes him from you. But so he's doing like discipline and DOPS for the IIHF for all their tournaments. That's kind of a big obvious change for us. But yeah, it's I mean, the league is probably I think it's probably the best place it's been in a long time. I think last year the crowds were across the board were probably the biggest they've been, like massive increases. I think it helps because I mean Sheffield and Belfast are selling out regularly, and those are big buildings. Sheffield's got games of 9,000, Belfast have games of 7.5, Nottingham probably is like 7. There's some big buildings, like Sheffield, I think they finished something like top 20 or top 25 in Europe in crowds. That's great for our league.
It
And they're
is.
and you forget as a team, like, and this is, Sheffield are probably the most hated team in the league because they are the biggest franchise, because they've, traditionally been one of the most successful teams. But we all benefit from Sheffield. We all like certainly we like the when we did the webcast when Sheffield they had a chance to, it was inevitable that they were going to win the league for about the last month and a half, 2 months, but they had their first chance they could clinch was in Cardiff on a Wednesday night,
I remember that.
and um, no one's traveling on a Wednesday night. Maybe they had 100 people or 150 people come down from their fan base. It was sold out, and Simsy said it's going to be a big one on the webcast. Like, make sure you like up your numbers. And we had something like nearly 3,000 people paying to watch our game online. Now think about that.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's more
wild.
money than that's more than we make at the gate probably. Like isn't in terms of like, you take out your season ticket holders because they've already paid. We've got half our stadium as season ticket holders, so we only sell like 1,500 tickets a game on top of our season ticket holders. And then we had 3,000 more people paid to watch. And you got to think, no one's paying and sitting by themselves. They've really got 3 or 4 people watching with them. That's a pretty big audience. And like you have every fan that thinks about, and they say things like, why don't they do an Elite League TV subscription like NHL.com and charge £10 a month and put all the games in one platform? That's a great idea, but you don't understand the numbers you need to make it work, to make it fair. Because I hate to say it, like it has to work. Like, we are not, like, I talked to the guys in Denmark when they were here for the Continental Cup, the guys from Herning, and they said their tickets are something like 15 or 18% of their business, maybe 10% of their business. Sponsorship is still like the biggest. And like in our league, it's ticket sales is number one. Ticket sales is number one by a long shot, and then probably second is sponsorship, like, a far second, and then probably merchandise. But we don't have a massive TV deal. So webcasting has become a really important part. And like, you're talking teams aren't getting rich in this league. They might, some of the smaller teams are teetering between breaking even and making 30 or 40,000 after everything's paid and everyone's paid. That's not very much for a business that might turn over like 5 million.
What-
It's
I mean,
and
yeah. But I think hockey
and 40
is
or
all about
50,000.
the love, though. People do it for the love. And it's like you running hockey teams, all those guys I see that coach in the UK that are helping run that league. You guys are all hockey guys that love hockey. You're not doing it to make money, you know? You're doing it because you want the league to be the best it can be. And you guys all like winning and like competing, just like I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think guys that run teams, I think guys that run minor league teams, will run teams at any level. The biggest difference is you just have less people to do it. Like, there's, if we made a lot more money, we'd probably just hire some more people because we could really use it, but we put all our money onto the ice. So you've got 3 off-ice staff doing everything. And you got a lot of volunteers, and you got a lot of people that come in and work one day, whether it's in like social media or filming for the webcast or doing interviews. They all come in and are contracted for one day. And then you got a lot of very valuable volunteers that put in a shift every week. You think all the people like that give up every one of their weekends to volunteer for us, and they put as they might work a 6-hour shift on a game night 40 times a year for free every weekend, is like their weekends. Like, people forget about what it takes to put a team together. And that's not just us. It's 10 teams across the league, you know?
Well,
So
and the volunteers are huge, right? Because then you're not spending money to have it run, and it takes everybody to win. And maybe my brain's different than some, but did you not write your MBA about how to run a hockey team with volunteers?
I wrote my thesis or my dissertation on the financial value of volunteers in professional sports,
And you're living that
and
now.
and basically what motivates volunteers. And I did it with like the Belfast Giants volunteers at the time, and it was really really interesting because we had volunteers. Like some people, it's funny what people do, like why they volunteer. Some people volunteer, they have a job that bores the crap out of them, and they love the team and they want to, they do it for the love of the team. And I remember in Belfast, the one year we offered, like we said, like when we were doing the survey, we didn't offer them, but like when we were doing the survey, we said, what would, like, if we offered to pay you, what would you expect your pay to be? And all of them said, we wouldn't want paid for this. Like it wouldn't be the same as volunteering. And I've talked to people that like worked as a volunteer and then got jobs with the team that they volunteer for. And they actually were like, I actually love volunteering more because like I liked it when I just came at a game day and I helped out and I felt like I was having an impact. And then when you shift to the other side and you're like, oh man, now a full-time job, like, you have people that have really boring full-time jobs maybe, and they volunteer because they love their club. And then some of them volunteer because they have really stressful jobs and they like to do something with no stress whatsoever. So like what we found is the people that had really stressful jobs and were volunteers wanted the least important job as a volunteer. Like,
Yeah.
like I'll I don't know, I'll sell chuck-a-pucks or something with like very, you don't have to think. And then other people had a job that they didn't really like and they wanted to like maybe be the volunteer kind of team leader sort of thing. It's very different volunteering for a sports club than volunteering for say like the food bank or for like cleaning up trash outside of a building that like there's different terms of volunteering, but volunteering for a sports club is fun. And it's interesting because I've been a GM, I think, for 18 years. And every year, whether it's at I used to do it at Ulster University in Belfast, and then now it's at Cardiff Met University here. And inevitably every year I get asked to speak to the sports management department, right? Whether that's the group of master students or the undergrads. And they all tell me like they read the books, they take the tests on sports management, and I'm saying, okay, well, like I'm living sports management, and I said, you want to get a job in sports management? Go volunteer for the sports team that you love, but don't say, hey, I got to do an internship for 20 hours, and can you help me like learn the business? 20 hours is useless. Like 20 hours is 3 days, right? And
Yep.
nobody really wants you because it's more of a hassle to have an intern for 3 days. You either
Yep.
want an intern every day, like for a year,
Yeah.
or you want people to help out on game night. And I was like, you can volunteer. And every year I said, you want to get a job in this? Volunteer for me, but work 40 home games. Like don't work 3 home games, work 40 home games and sell tickets and move boxes and do all the stuff that we do. And I said, and you know what? At the end of it, someone would give you a job. And I said, and now I'm in like I've done this 7 years in a row. Now I'm in year 11. And so far to date, I've had 2 people do this for me in 11 years. Now this will be year 20. And I'll say, and I guarantee none of you will call me after this. Not one of you will volunteer for me because nobody does, right? Because nowadays people want it handed to them and they want the job in sports management. They just don't want to do it for free first, right? And I'm not saying like, yeah, have to you're not going to work a 40-hour week for free, but like the way I got into sports is I volunteered when I was a kid. I volunteered for stuff, and whether it was cleaning up or sweeping locker rooms or and then it moved on to volunteering for events. And I always volunteered for stuff. I volunteered like I worked at the '88 Olympics when I was 13 years old. I worked at the World Police and Fire Games, and I volunteered for like to keep score at hockey tournaments. I volunteered to keep score at basketball tournaments. I volunteered to keep score at badminton tournaments. And so when I went to get like when I wanted to get a job, I had no I'd never had a job. But then I'm looking, I'm like, actually, I've worked for the Olympics. I've worked for the World Police and Fire Games. I've worked for, Badminton Canada. I've worked for all these things and all for free, all volunteer. But people don't necessarily volunteer anymore because the age of the volunteers we have, most teams, they're older people and they do it for the right reasons. They do it for intrinsic motivation, for things they love. But you don't see like how many 22-year-olds do you see volunteering for a team? Unless they're students that they're doing an internship and probably getting paid, they don't volunteer for it. The guys that I hired in Belfast, they still work for, well, one of them works for the league now, Mark Brooks. It's a great story. I might have even told it on this. Mark Brooks, who is now the commercial director for the Elite League, and he was the commercial director for the Belfast Giants and for Ulster Rugby after that. He was my locker room helper with our equipment manager in Belfast when I got there. He was probably, I don't know, 11 years old, 12 years old. He cleaned toilets and he mopped the room and he got water bottles. And then when he was 18 and he went to university, he wanted to work on the weekends for free, which he did. Then when he needed an internship, he came and worked for the Giants for free. And then he went away and volunteered in India for a year. And then when he came back, his only job he wanted to come was work for the Giants. So he did. And we didn't know what to do with him, but we're like, this kid's been around here forever. So we just had him in the office. And then he became like, he kind of helped me with sponsorship. And then he became the commercial manager. And then when I left, he took over all the sponsorship. And then he moved on to Ulster Rugby. Then he went back. He wanted to get back into hockey. Now he's making great money working for the league. He's worked in professional sports his whole life, and we would have never met him if he didn't volunteer. And the other guy's one of the operations directors for the Odyssey or for the SSE Arena. He manages all the game nights for the Giants, and he volunteered for us. He built our first website at the Giants, and he did it for free. Did it for a school project. But so I'm going off on a tangent. But like people that want to work in pro sports should put in some time and volunteer.
Um, so I'll tell you this today because it's been in my brain for a bit. I've been volunteering for 400 episodes. I don't make money doing this. I do this for fun. I do this because I love it and I like seeing my friends and catching up and finding out how they're doing. And then I've met other people that have now become my friends. It's like I've never met Matt Caruth in person, but I would love to be his teammate. I would screw with him every practice and piss him off every day. And it would be fun and it would be hilarious. But I've met so many people doing this and it's because I love it and I do it because I want to. Nobody has to pay me to talk to my friends. But I am going to coach pro hockey and I'm going to kick the shit out of everybody, just not now. I got a family to raise. But this coaching thing, seeing teams come together and become brothers for life, seeing these under 13 kids do it, it's like, so if I'm good at something, maybe I should do this. But I'm just going to
Yep.
win a bunch of Voluntarios first, and then I'm going to do it.
Well, like, I mean, you think of like were there's guys that were teachers that started coaching high school hockey and then junior, and then one thing led to another. Before you know it, they're coaching the Coast or the American League, and then they're in the NHL, and they're like, Jesus Christ, 15 years ago I was a high school teacher,
Like,
and
but
I'm
the
an
thing
NHL
is you
coach.
can learn from everybody. I coached an under 9 girls house league team. I coached Zoe's team. And it taught me a lot about the game and how every year has been so different. I've had an under 9 girls team, an under 11 boys team, and then an under 13 boys team. And every season is totally different. Where you come up with practice plans, how to bring them together, what to do away from the rink to make a team a team. It's brought back everything I need. I just need to have a team in my life, you know?
Yeah, no, it's true. Like it's funny because I was just in Calgary, and my dad is 82 or 83 now, and he coached his whole life. He was either a coach or a team manager until you get to the age where your dad's not allowed to, basically, because it could impact like who makes the team. But uh, like, so probably till I was maybe 13 or 14. And I run into my friends from, like you go home, your hometown. I go to Calgary. I always run into a few people. I'll run into guys that are 49 years old who were coached by my dad when they were 8 or 9 years old, and they still talk about how he was the best coach they had, right? And when you talk to my dad, who worked, his entire career, worked in, for big oil businesses, traveled the world, and he says his favorite times were coaching me when I was a kid, and you think like we all benefited from dads or from ex-players volunteering their time for all of us, right? And it's something important for players. Like I think players, like I think sometimes now players when they finish, they think, oh, maybe I'll coach, but like maybe I can get paid. Especially like it's a thing in the UK where all the coaches like expect to get paid. Like if you played pro, you expect to get paid. Like, oh, if I go out with the goalies, will they give me 50 quid or something like that? But like Jesus, none of our coaches ever got paid. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I
and
don't get paid.
it,
And you do it for
no,
the
it
love.
probably
And
cost you money. It probably cost you money. Like, I bet there's times where you take the whole
it
team out for
costs me
Slurpees.
so much money. It
Yeah,
cost me so
yeah,
much money. I have a ring and I had to buy one for my son too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It costs you money. You don't, there's stuff you don't even think about. You don't like, and sometimes in life, like it's not, I saw a great quote today, Wally. It was, it was, um, it was something about like, when you do things just for money, you know what? I actually wrote it down and I'm going to read it to you because I know you love it. I have a thing in my phone where I write down great quotes because I think they're funny to read back and I think they're good to read back.
Well, let
And,
me tell you my
and
quote while you look it up because I still remember this because I never played with Samuel Jardine, you know. And then you get to know a guy and I'm like, wow, I really, really, really like this guy. Like he is the type of guy I want in my life. And when I go over for Batchy's testimony and we'll sitting there chatting and doing our thing in the afternoon, and he said to me, he's like, in life, I don't do anything for the money. I do it because I want to do it. And nobody's going to tell me what I want to do. And the money isn't going to tell me. And I will not do anything in life for the money. And I was like, uh, it is the best way to live. It's like doing this. It's like, I'm not going to do this because I want to make money. I'm going to do this because I want to do it, you know?
yeah, no, it's true. So here's your quote.
I'm ready.
Money is like gasoline during a road trip. Money is like gasoline during a road trip. You don't want to run out of gas on the trip, but you're not doing a tour of gas stations. And so basically what it means is like you can make your decisions on how much money you're going to make from something, but then you're just going to jump at the next opportunity to make money and the next opportunity. And like some point you gotta some point you got to live. And this is I always tell guys this. I'm like, don't ever be the cheap guy on the team. We've all played with him. We've all played with the guy that we think at the end of the year, you know what, that guy never bought a pint. Or he was always, if there was a round of seven guys, he was number seven every time, right? And and when you finish playing, you always remember the guys you win championships with, and you always remember the cheapest guy on the team. I bet, and I'm not going to ask you who, but I bet you could name every cheap guy you ever played.
Yeah, it's probably me.
I could. I could name every cheap guy, and guys will say that. But you know what I mean? Like guys, no, you were always good. You always bought, as long as it was beers, you bought beers. So, um, but like it's important. Like, you're gonna remember who you had a pint with rather than who paid for the pint. You know, and I think that's important in life. So
I totally agree. And what was interesting for me was finally going back to Western Michigan. I went with guys 2 classes above me, 3 classes above me, and they asked me to be their fourth for their foursome. And I go back without any of the guys from my class. And we decide to play a practice round on the Friday, and me and my partner lose. We play a 2-man scramble, and we lose, and we were playing to go out for dinner for the night. And then we go out for dinner,
yeah,
and my teammate that I lost with said, Wally, you're not paying tonight. I'm paying for dinner for everybody. And I'm like, dude, I lost with you. And he's like, no, you're not paying. And I'm like, I'm going to remember that.
yeah, well, it's nice, right? It's and but also you probably remember like what a night it was, what a weekend it was, and that guy wants to do it. He's not doing it to flash out money. He's doing it because he's had a great time and he can afford it and he wants to treat you guys. It's nice, you know?
It is nice. Being nice is nice in the world, you know? It's
Yeah.
like those social media people we were
Yeah, like
talking about. It's like being mean is mean and being nice is nice. It's like when I showed up in Cardiff and you had that jersey on the crib, and I was like, played on a lot of teams. Not many teams prepared like this or showed they cared like this. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to play. You know, I'll do whatever.
yeah. Um, all right, well, Wally, I don't want to cut you off, but I have to
Oh
go
my
because I do have a
gosh.
meeting now.
I understand. And I'm at the cottage. I have to have fun all day and not work, you know? It's exhausting.
That's a tough. Yeah, I can't imagine. So have a good
Um,
time. It was good catch.
so we need 1,005 Twix on the ice. So if anybody's listening, I hate losing and I can't do it. So we need 1,005 Twix on the ice the first home game. And you know what? If the coach doesn't agree with me and plays bouncy, that's cool because we're all on the same team. Um, right? And like I love both your goalies. So I mean, let's just throw 1,005 Twix minimum so then we can all feel like winners, right? And I think that's a great way to kick off a season to win a title is by beating Herning to start the season by throwing 1,005 Twix on the ice. Just think it out loud. You
Just
know,
think of the mental victory over Herning, who will probably never play again, if we can
right?
say we had more Twixes than them.
Right?
That'll
Yeah.
be our pregame speech.
And
That'll
then
be
you
our
and
pregame
then you can
speech.
put it all on social media. You could even sell the Twixes, Todd, and make some money. I don't care. I just want it to happen. You know, you can sell the Twixes and make a pound off each one. I think it'd be fun. But I did beat Herning in game 7 in Denmark, and I still remember that day. And I would remember the day that 1,005 Twixes hit the ice forever, you know?
All right, all right. We'll see. Make it happen. Okay,
Well,
man.
um, just so you know, people wanted you to tell the killer story this time, but I guess we're out of time. How do I shut this off now?
Never
Gosh
happened.
darn it. Oh no, it's all changed. And this has been another episode of Two Ls and Hockey Tales with Killer and Wally.